Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Tom of Obscure Machines. We're here with OM3, uh, who is broadcasting from VR and maybe Maui. OM3 is a metaversal artist, electronic music producer, and futurist. He is a VR performance pioneer. He's also a world builder and creator and host of M.A.S.S VR Club, which yours truly has gotten to play at 2 times, and it was an incredible experience. So please welcome OM3.
Yo, yo, yo. Happy to be here. First off, I want to say thank you for that overly kind introduction to what I do. When you read that off to me the first time, I was like, that makes me sound cool. I like that. I like that. I appreciate you. And we're of course have been so stoked to have you at M.A.S.S. You blew the roof off each time. Love what you do as well, my friend. Good to be here.
Cool, man. Thank you so much. Yeah. So how are things going in Maui?
I wouldn't know. I'm mostly just in this like nest of cables. I just sit in a little room that's just covered in cables basically, and I'm just building things in VR and making music and oscillating back and forth between those two places. So Maui's fine. It's out there. I get to see it sometimes, which is cool, and I'll see more of it, I'm sure, eventually one day. But for now, I've got my work cut out for me.
Yeah. So you spend a lot of time in VR. Do you know maybe like on the daily about how much of your day you're in VR?
That oscillates. There are times where I'm actually not in as much as I'd like to be because I'm developing. You can't really. You have to. It's not like M.A.S.S or something where you're. There's some platforms where you can develop the space inside of the space, and this isn't one of them. Most of my effort, or all of my effort, is on VR chat, and VR chat worlds are developed outside of VR space. So it oscillates back and forth. There's times where I'm in there quite a bit, where I'll be in there 6-7 hours a day, and all my friends are in there. I have a life in there complete. I have a whole world, a whole universe of amazing people and places in there. So yeah, sometimes I do spend a lot of time for sure.
Okay, cool. Because I want to get into some philosophical questions, but we can get into that later.
No, let's go. Hey, that's what I'm here for. You know that.
Well, first, I kind of wanted to like cover your music. So could you talk about kind of your maybe some upbringing and where music started for you and how it kind of ended up at where it's at? Because as long as I've known you, you've always kind of been ahead of the curve in regards to incorporating technology and how that how sound works when you use those technologies. So like I listen to your music and I'm like, I've never heard this before. So if you could just touch on that, that'd be cool.
That's cool. I appreciate that. So the original question was what's my origins, or like what got me started, or
Yeah,
what's the
just
journey been like? Yeah. So
anywhere you want to start.
the journey has really been it's been a lifelong passion for music. I started off in rock bands, and I started off playing guitar, and guitar is still my number one instrument, the thing that I'm most comfortable expressing myself with. But I grew up in the Detroit area, and I was influenced by so much incredible music in that space, and I was really, really fortunate to just be surrounded by a bunch of incredible musicians and influenced by so many different, just amazing times and spaces and scenes. And so I had been raised on like metal and techno. My father was into that stuff, which was awesome. Electronic music. He loved Kraftwerk and um, a lot of just like really OG electronic music. That Wendy Carlos switched on Bach record was usually playing in my house somewhere, and so I was fortunate to be exposed to a lot of we'll call it angular approaches to music making early on. And then I was mostly focused on rock, and then I got into electronic music, and that was amazing because once I was ready to get into electronic music, I was in Detroit, and that's a great place to be into electronic music, obviously, and just the people that I was surrounded by, um, and the atmosphere that I was surrounded by, just I didn't know it at the time, but it was soaking into me subconsciously. It was informing decisions that I would make down the line, and so I leaned really hard into electronic music. I've gone through, a few stages of metamorphosis at this point. And, I've had other projects where I've flourished a bit and spread my wings. And then, and now I'm in a space where I'm really creating just full force on from as many places as I can. When I play live in VR, I play a mixture of my own music. Like I will DJ sets that are just like 100% or like 90% at least my own original compositions. And then I'll also do live performance sets on the electrons. I have like 5, 6 electrons ripping, and I'll bring in tracks on top of that as well. And those performances are techno. And then my music is not techno for now. My music is whatever the fuck I want it to be when I want it to be, which is fun, and I feel empowered. But to do that, especially in this space. But yeah, that's sort of the long and short of it. That's a good condensation.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So you're so in techno space, you said you're on Electron. And could you touch on that? Just what boxes you're using and yeah.
Yeah, so my setup is it would be nice if I just use the same setup all the time, and then I could just, have something go right for once. But it just constantly flip shit back and forth and flip things out. But the mainstays are the Octatrack is kind of the heart and soul of the operation. And I use a machine drum, a mono machine, Digitact, analog heat, and then I drop in a Moog Matriarch. I'll swap that in and out. Like 2 shows ago, I was pushing the mono machine through the Moog, which was a lot of fun. And so like all my arps and stuff were like, tinged with the percussion from the machine drum, which was a lot of fun. So I'm kind of switching it up, but those are my mainstays. I also have a Zoya in the chain too, Emperor Zoya.
Yeah, that's sick, man. So what do you use your Zoya for? Because you can use it for anything, really, right?
I know that thing's mind blowing. Both the Octatrack and the Zoya are just have a crippling amount of capacity. Like if you don't have an objective, it's so easy to just like be like, this thing does so much that it does nothing. Both of those objects, but the Zoya is incredibly powerful. I use the Zoya. I love, obviously, Empress makes incredible, beautiful delays and reverbs. Their reverb algorithms are gorgeous, and even in what the limited processing power that you might have in the Zoya, it's still just gorgeous. It's incredible. So I use the verbs from that. I use the delays from that. I also will like set up like little like weird firing chains for MIDI stuff. I've messed with that so that it'll just randomly torture some of the electrons into playing things. It's like poking them with a stick here and there throughout the set. And uh, also for moral support for lots of blinky lights.
That's awesome. The moral support. That's pretty
The
funny.
warm glow. It's like being around a campfire.
It's comforting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That's cool, man. And so recently you just released Signal 2. That was probably a month or so ago.
Yeah, somehow it was a month or two. That's crazy. There is a time compression thing that happens in VR that makes it's very, very hard to tell what direction time is flowing in. But yeah, a month ago, I released my second little. I've only dropped I think 4 songs, period, and I've had this project going for about 10 months now. I have mountains of music. And that's how I'm able to play full original sets. I have a ton of stuff, but I've been fairly selective about what I'm dropping and when, and that'll soon I'm gonna open up the faucet here pretty soon. But Signal is cool because it shows some more melodic stuff mixed with kind of what I'm known for, which is really abrasive, tearing sort of sounding shit. And I think that, sneaking in the melodic stuff is something I'm working on right now, because I do have a lot of melodic content. I do enjoy writing melodic content, not just face rippers. So I sneak that in, and I also built a world for that release, which was a lot of fun. I did it. I actually dropped that release out of nowhere, like a few days ahead of time. I said, "New world, new album, come through and listen." And I created a world to experience the 2 songs in, and that was a lot of fun.
So did you perform those sets, or was it like Kanye West style, like everybody in the stadium?
Yeah, I just gathered everybody into the world to watch me freak out about my life for an hour and a half openly. No, I basically, it's a really simple concept, but it was really, really enjoyable. It's the most fun I've ever had releasing music, I think. I put, because normally it's a pretty lackluster affair. It's like you put the music out and then you just wait for some plays to trickle in and some comments and stuff. And yeah, cool. I usually will just drop something and then I don't pay attention to it. Like, I don't care. I'm not someone that obsesses over numbers. I think it's really toxic to the artistic mindset. And I will just drop something and then come back to it in a few days and be like, oh, that's cool. And that's it. Because it's a trap otherwise. But this was neat because on one side of the room you could listen to one song, on the other side of the room you could listen to the other song, and had these particle fields that were like kind of reflecting the mood of each of the song. So you could stand in these particle fields and the particles dripped up off the ground, and you can kind of look up, and as you follow your gaze up, there's like a little structure in the center, a sculpture in the center, and just a vibe to set the tone to listen to the music in. And it was really, really cool to sit there and watch people stream in and stand there and listen to the music and watch their body language, watch them nod their head, watch them get excited about it in real time. There's so much more. It's so much more experiential. Like, it's like it's like a gallery opening. When you open a gallery of people come look at your art, you can watch them respond to it. But it was just so cool. So many of my friends came through and were so kind and had so many positive words. It just felt like it wasn't an earth-shattering amount of people. It wasn't like, I think like maybe like 100 people came through that night or something. And which it's still fucking amazing that anybody over. Oh, sorry, if you don't want me to swear on the thing, I have a
No, it's fine.
I might look like a monk, but I don't talk like a monk. I don't care about the numbers. I care about the experience. And that's one thing that VR stands to correct and connect about the musical situation, is that it's capable of providing a more meaningful experience for the context of music.
Yeah, because I guess the obsession over numbers, and then subsequently any kind of financials that come into play, it's all, I mean, that's all from the record industry, and people think that they want to be superstars, but maybe just having, a group of people that really enjoy your music is better. What do you think?
Speaking of that, let me shout out the chat real quick. Let me see who we got in here. We got so many friends. V's in the chat, Barry's in the chat, Kesre, Ploops in the chat, Paul's in the chat. Wow. Conspiracy, what up? The rarest, grayest mage is in the chat. Let's see. I don't know if I missed anybody. That's what I just see real quick. Oh, I see the other Baldy, the other Cuzzo in there. Thanks for being here, friends.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of exactly what we're talking about.
Yes.
All right, so I guess let's just get right into VR. So the pandemic happened, everything shut down. I was there with you in Maui, and we only met a couple times while that was going on. But I mean, was that kind of like the catalyst to get this thing going? Because I don't know. I mean, I'm sure you felt it, but I was like, I got to get out there and do some kind of music stuff, and we can't. So the bridge is gonna break. So
yeah, well, number one, Maui doesn't have the most bustling fucking music environment, that's for sure. I think there's literally no places to play right now, and so there's that. But for another thing, it was actually I played a show at Shelter. My first VR show period was at Shelter, and that experience just lit me up, like, totally and completely. I couldn't believe the experience that I had, and I had been sitting on a bunch of music, and I've known Two Tone. Shout out Two Tone. Shout out Kai at Shelter. Uh, I've known Two Tone for a long time, and I would just kind of play Two Tone, some of the stuff I was making, because I went radio silent for years, basically. And friends would be like, "Oh, what are you working on?" And I just send them tracks, and they'd be like, "What the fuck? What? Like, what? Put that out. What are you doing? Like, I demand that you put that." So basically, Two Tone really pushed on that, and then built that space, built Shelter, and built this cool thing. And this is something I had wanted to do myself previously. I got the PC rig that I have. I got it a couple years ago with the intention of, I was actually going to do stuff in the Wave. Wave VR was another platform that's since well, it's still functional, but it is what it is. And there was no community for me to latch onto there. I just didn't fit in with that crowd necessarily, or I just didn't see a lane that I could pick for that. So I experimented with all kinds of stuff and loved VR, and was kind of into modeling and stuff. I just barely. I mean, I barely was doing anything. I was making stuff in Tilt Brush. But yeah, after the Shelter experience, so leading up to, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to start this thing, because the OM3 project is actually the lore of the OM3 project is real. Kooky as it is, it's real. I feel forced to, beyond just having, Two Tone say you got to release this music. There's a message that I bring, that I have to bring, because I believe it's the right thing to do. And I've had a set of experiences that have made it completely impossible for me to ignore it. So I am highly driven by that, and it just so happened that VR wound up being the perfect space to express myself and to bring that message forward. Which the primary message right now is to focus on what you can control, to keep your mind focused on the aspects of reality that are under your control, and to stay focused, to help you eliminate anxiety, and to help reduce the universe a bit, so that it's in some bite-sized packets, and keep the waters calm for you. That's the first OM3 transmission. And actually, I'm operator R. OM3 is a collective. It's a collective consciousness that I came in contact with, but that's some Maui shit. But the experience of playing in Shelter was just so visceral, and so, like, I've played on big stages before. I know what it's like to really have a show pop off and feel good, and it felt exactly the fucking same way. And it was just blowing my mind that I'm just in my room, and then on top of it, all these people that were in the crowd became really close friends of mine. And so it's rare that you encounter an experience where there's 10 of your, like, favorite people just sitting there waiting for you. And I reflect on that fondly. But I knew that I had to make something. After that first experience, I got right to work the next week, and I had my own club 3 weeks later.
And that's M.A.S.S, correct?
The first club was actually Home, and that map that world got messed up. I could go back and fix it, but it got messed up, and then I just started testing out making other worlds. And one of the worlds I landed on was M.A.S.S, and that's the one that I've carried on the longest.
So could you talk about developing a space like that? Because I've gone through some tutorials and made a space, and then, like, once you get in there and look around, then I kind of had this realization that, like, yeah, anybody can make a box, but, like, there has to be a vibe. And so your space, some of the things, it's like, it's way bigger. It's smaller than it looks, but it's huge. I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah, and actually, really quick, someone asked a question in the chat that I would like to address because I think it's a cool question. They
Sure.
said, "How would you feel about nobody ever witnessing what you do? Would you still express yourself?" I encourage actually every artist at some point in their life to make a bunch of things that you don't share with anyone, and I think it's an incredibly powerful experience because it connects you to what I think is the most sustainable aspect of being an artist, which ultimately lends itself to you creating better art, which is the fact that the journey, the process of making art is the thing to fall in love with. Recognition's great. Communicating it is obviously, an important part of it. Like we need to communicate with each other. And art is like this, some people may feel that the loop isn't closed until other eyes or ears or senses interact with it. But I think for the mental tune up, so maybe it's not your mainstay, but maybe you make some art, like you pick something and you just don't ever show anyone for like a year. Work on it, make a thing, and you just, for as long as it makes sense for you, whatever. But I think it's an incredibly meaningful thing to do because I did it. My perspective before I did that was scuffed. It was rough. I was I was very sensitive to the pulls of social media metrics and metrics in general and numbers in general, and then even like the influence of my peers in a space, like, oh, I got to keep up, they're dropping this shit, oh, I gotta, so I had to like get my head out of all of that shit and connect to connect to my connection to the art. It was completely imperative, and I think it is something that every artist should take some time to cultivate. And maybe you don't have to stop making or stop presenting things altogether to make that distinction, but I think that's a really powerful way to do it. So I hope that, yeah, I hope that answers your question. So, and I forgive me, I don't remember what you asked me before that. Do you?
Yeah. Appreciate that. That's some good insight though on the art thing, because that's true. That's totally true. You gotta just do it for the sake of doing it. Um, yeah. So some like challenges in developing.
Oh, yeah. So like, yeah, anybody can make a box, but what does it feel like? Uh, so that some of that you can't teach. Some of that's going to be the result of like you sharing your life experience and your appreciation for art and reflecting that back into a space. Uh, and some of it you can by having the world development process be a bit co-creative and by inviting people in to hang out. I did that when I made my first club, and we had some of the best nights. Just I would, I'd be working on the thing. And then by the time people were done with whatever they were doing for the day, they would come in and hang out at night. And it was work in progress, but I would just be like hammering away on it in a version of it while I had, maybe 10 people in there hanging out. And we're watching movies and passing the aux and, just clowning. Cause it's like you have your own club basically to just mess around in. It's a cool experience. Like you have this big production that you can just like having your own movie theater that's also a club basically. And I learned a lot while I was watching people interact with the world while I was developing it, seeing where they congregate. It informed design decisions that I made. Like I made it too big. That was a rookie mistake for me. Like I made the dance floor too big, and I saw people would just kind of scatter all over. So I made a raised platform and condensed the space as like a signal to like, hang out here and, just solving design problems by interacting, and making it a social thing, I think is a cool way to approach it too. And, people are always so precious. I could be guilty of this too, where like I want to reveal the fucking final thing and I don't want to show it to people until it's perfect. But honestly, uh eh. You get more I think feel like it's more enjoyable to sort of let your friends in, let people in and develop it like as it's coming. People really enjoyed seeing that process, I think.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. And I saw in the last your last Twitch stream that you were talking about the mass is it's in its last iteration. Is that and
Yeah.
you have another world coming? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, so there's a show on Friday. I'm a square. That's right. So for people that don't know, this is what M.A.S.S kind of looks like. It's not an exo frame version of it or whatever, but it's there's a show coming up on Friday, and actually let me pop that back up. It didn't repeat because I want to show the homies that are playing it. That's all metaversal homegrown talent right there, and I'll get into that in a minute. But I'll say that like our VR DJs are monsters that absolutely just will clap. I cannot wait until the meta like this crew crawls out into reality. People have no idea what's coming for them. Some of the most monster DJs of all time are about to snap your necks because people don't realize it, but we're playing shows in there 24 hours a day, all time zones, just banging. There's a club scene in there that's just banging around the clock, and when you're in that space where you don't have to travel, you could just go from party to party to party to party. You know, you got to bring it, and also everyone shares knowledge, everyone shares tracks, everyone shares techniques, everyone's passionate about the music. It's breeding a new level of just amazing DJ talent. There's more incredible DJs in there than like I mean it's unreal. It's absolutely unreal. So Friday we got all VR homies ripping the console at M.A.S.S, and yeah, this will be one of the final forms of this version of M.A.S.S. I think there maybe be one more show with it how it stands, and then it's transforming. And I'm not gonna say much more than that. It's transforming.
So yeah, okay. I was gonna say so it's transforming, but I mean we're still going to the same space. Is this gonna
So
be? Yeah.
so what's cool is that my process is co-creative with an AI. I write the lore for my worlds in VR with GPT-J. So and that's a machine learning algorithm. So I give it a prompt and some parameters, and then it kicks out elements of the story. And so M.A.S.S, for instance, is a copy of. So the initial idea for M.A.S.S is something I encountered at a vision while trying to astral project, because a lot of this comes from trying to astral project or astral projecting and encountering things and then translating my experiences into this place, into VR, because that's like the perfect way to represent your dreams. And so I feed it what I experienced, and then it'll take the ball and run with it. So M.A.S.S is actually situated inside of a mountain that's made out of the opposing psychic forces of like the entire universe. So all the it's like a sits in the middle of like a polar vortex basically, and it's guarded by inhabited clones of inhabitants of people that used to live in the mountain before M.A.S.S was developed there. I don't know who made M.A.S.S, but it's something that was uncovered, and it's basically an antenna. So the mech picks up signals of passion, basically, like of light and sound, and then transcribes that into an experience in VR. So it takes the music from the DJs and the light from the VJs, and it creates this experience in this space. And that's why I say, it can transform, because it's in a pretty amorphous place. And I don't even know what's fully coming next, because I get as far as I do, and then I prompt the AI, and then the AI takes the wheel. So I know where it's going, like the next stage, but I don't know what's happening beyond that,
Hmm.
which is fun.
Yeah, yeah. That sounds sick. I, it's hard to articulate. Like I don't know. I don't know what I'm even trying to say, but like being an artist, and then, well, I mean, just your interaction with technology, just AI and machine learning, and using it to feedback, as a creative seed. I don't know, like it's really hard to articulate.
Yeah, I think there's like this little paper I saw somebody write on this little manifesto about the concept of promptism, and that will become, or is, an art form unto itself, and that'll be something that you see people focusing on moving forward, which is the prompt that you give AI, the artistic approach that you take to engaging with AI is what will keep. I mean, that is a unique human input to it. That's a creative process, and people overlook that, I think, when they like, oh, well, just like an AI made this picture or AI made this story, you didn't write it, blah blah. And it's like, okay, motherfucker, you sit there and try to pull something cool out of this thing, and you show me how quick and easy that is. Like, there's you're now a conductor. You may not be. You were sitting there and you were first chair. Now you're the conductor, and beyond that, you'll be the talent buyer. You'll be the, like, things will just keep, you just have to keep shedding skin and stepping out of your role and looking at things in different macro, microcosmic levels as an artist, or you won't be able to interact with things that present themselves along the way as technology gets crazier and crazier, in my opinion.
Word. So shout out to Travarsi. She's a friend of mine who also does modular techno and electronic music performance. And I was just chatting with her one day, and I had mentioned performing in VR, and she was like, "Wait, what?" And I kind of tried to like explain it, and I guess until you do it. So I guess what I want to ask you is, so you come across somebody who is a dope producer, and how do you segue them into performing into a space? Because I looked at Shelter, and the other one, what's the other one, the other big one? Loner. Yes, those two. I looked into those two, and I was like, I don't even know where to start. Like, I don't even know how to get in. I don't know. It's just kind of one of those, you got to know somebody. And so, yeah. So what do you tell somebody who is kind of in those
on
shoes?
the edge? Yeah. Well, join the Discords. So it's a lot easier now than it ever has been. A lot of more information readily available. Loner is an awesome place to start. That's where the community thrives. That's like kind of home base, and their loner shows are super fun. I just played, the last show I played was a loner show, and I love playing there. Like, actually, I'm gonna upload my set from that. That was an Electron set too. I'm gonna upload that tonight. I will usually drop mixes that I do on my Patreon, and then for the ones I really like, I'll post them up on SoundCloud like later on. And yeah, you go to the loner Discord, come to the home Discord, which is my server, and there's people that'll help you get in, and then there's also instructions to and to answer your question about how to onboard DJs, basically, for people that are new to it. It's kind of unique to the person, like, and it is actually one of the things that holds back. Like, I have so many homies that are perfect for the space and are kind of bigger names and creative in their own wing and successful, but just only have a Mac and don't have a headset or whatever. And there's people that I felt really passionate about getting into the space. Like, Girl is someone that I really wanted to play at M.A.S., and I knew that M.A.S. was only going to be around for a little bit longer, so I kind of pushed for that, a little ahead of what I'm doing for other people, for other acts that are coming in that are also active and playing bigger spaces and stuff like that. But Girl, I really wanted to. So the Girl performance wasn't in VR, but we got our own special Girl set for that night, and that was really cool. But so it is a challenge, the onboarding process, because you're basically saying, like, yeah, just spend a cool $3,000 to $5,000 and you can come play in here. It's no big deal. Yeah, but the Quest functionality or compatibility is good now, and it's going to keep getting better. Like the last big show that Shelter threw was Quest compatible, and I believe the show that they're doing this weekend will be Quest compatible. So that's
Yeah.
yeah, there you go. So all the Questies can get in there, and I don't know. It's better than saying Questicles. I mean, hey, I have a Quest as well. I have the Quest too. It's a fine piece of gear. But yeah, you were limited to going to the clubs because it wasn't compatible with Quest until very recently. So
Okay,
but yeah, Loner Discord is a good place to start.
Okay, perfect. And there's a documentary that has been put out about that, and you were in it. I saw one of your clips. I was watching the documentary and I was like, hey, that's OM3. That's like really cool.
That bald boy right there. Yeah, that was Straz's documentary, which is really cool, which is called it's called Underground. I know it's got the word underground in it. Somebody in the chat help me out.
The Virtual Underground, an introduction to VR chat's rave scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great documentary.
Yeah, Straz killed it. And Straz was with me on my stream and my podcast last week. We did one on Thursday, and the creator of that documentary was hanging out. We were just kind of bitching about the word metaverse and talking about all kinds of fun things. But yeah, Straz is incredibly talented, and that perspective was really cool because I actually really appreciated what that did for my personal lens, because I'm a little bit of an oddity in the space, in that, you know, a place like Loner is a place that it's like it's home base. You know what Loner looks like, you know what it feels like. It stays the same. They've thrown over 40 shows there now. You know, it's home, you know, and Shelter's the same way. It stays the same. I know, you know, they plan on upgrading some things, and, you know, they'll make some tweaks and stuff, but it'll always feel like Shelter. And these places are club oriented, they're club focused, and they have, you know, a small team of people working on them. And my shit's a bit different, and that I'm just one person. I have help from friends that help me with streaming or with you know, like opening up or like, you know, a join bot and stuff like that. Shout out Barry and Fireon, and Two Tone helps with streaming sometimes. Grime helps with streaming sometimes. I have people that help out with some of the operational stuff, but as far as creating everything goes, it's all me. And then on top of it, I'm making all my own VJ stuff, and I'm making all my own music, and so, but I'm still throwing shows. I just do one a month. I don't do two a month or even weekly. My situation's different. I'm in a weird place. I'm like this just kind of weird spot in there. And I was curious if I was going to appear in that documentary while I was watching it, because I feel like I'm a big part of the community, and that I'm active and I'm friends with everyone. And I was just curious if I would even show up, but I was honestly okay if I didn't, because so much work has gone into that and even crews that didn't appear in that documentary that laid the groundwork for this space, that, you know, that it's so huge, it's so nebulous, and there's been people going at it for years. I don't, you know, whatever. I don't care, but it was cool the way that Straz brought that up, to say like, oh, there's even like, I think Straz said like weird ass artists, like, you know, like OM3 who makes weird spaces and like posts positive messages and shit. And like that, it helped me sort of organize my thinking in terms of like, yeah, I don't necessarily want to be a club, to be honest. I don't want to create club spaces. I want to create experiences, and that's what I'm going to keep doing. You'll see me get farther and farther from something that looks like a club here in the near future. I'm more focused on, I'm just focused on the things I'm having fun with, and And I think other people are representing the club experience in like a fucking awesome context. Ghost Club is also, I mean, Ghost Club visually is my favorite club in the whole, you know, universe there. Ghost Club's just fucking incredible, and that's something that appears in the doc too. But there's a new version of it that is just mind blowing when you figure out how all the things that are going on behind the scenes. They have live VJ walls controlling the CRTs behind, and like the way that they basically made their own like FM visual FM synth to control the fucking video wall like in the game. I mean, it's just unbelievable like how rad that space is. And anyway, point being, I always along the lines of focusing on what you can control, I also think it's smart to lean into what you love and to lean in what you're best at. And I'm not I don't have as big an interest in making like photorealistic spaces. I have an interest in creating like more evocative, abstract uh, things that make you feel like you're somewhere or make you feel like something. So that's what I'm focusing on.
Yeah, sick. So the chat's been buzzing a little bit. Travarse asked if there's a specific genre of music that people want to hear in these settings. So if you could touch on that, and maybe even how supportive people are, because I think in VR specifically, people are very open and supportive of artists.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, the joke is techno. You can only play techno now. VR, the scene's going through like a techno revolution. It feels like as of a few months ago, it's techno everywhere, which is cool. I mean, I think we'll see that shift around, but that's a joke. Mostly, yes, everything is accepted there, and that's, you are absolutely right. One of the thrills of this platform is that people are there to listen to you. They are there to truly listen to what you have to present. And so it encourages, like for my first ever show, I wouldn't have had the scrotum to show up and just play all like original stuff that varies all over the map, different tempos, different whatever. I wouldn't have sacked up like that. There's no way if I wouldn't have thought that I spent a little time on the sidelines watching and seeing that these people were really receptive and wanted to hear new things. How exciting is that? Because I feel every producer and every DJ is sort of afraid to, that their set's not going to go off. You got to play bangers from start to finish. Like, bleh, fuck that. Play what you want. And there's no more receptive space. And I think you'll be exposed to more genres than you even knew existed in there. You'll find sounds and textures and and vibes that you just didn't know were lurking around in your subconscious until someone just rips it out and hits you in the face with it one night when you're in some like weird little, Japanese club at 4 a.m. So it's like an incredible musical discovery experience. And that's really the way I think to approach it, is to look at it as the total thing as an experience, not just about what you can bring to it. Because we're an organism, we're a village in there, and it's just this like amorphous gnashing current of light and sound, and your flickering is needed and encouraged, but also just sit back and ride the fucking wave.
So as this develops, do you see yourself playing live anymore?
IRL?
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope to build things to the point where I come out and play certain kinds of shows. I think I'm done with like circuit touring. Like, I think VR can replace circuit touring. I mean, it already does. I've played some pretty big shows in just the last few weeks. The numbers are comparable to if I went and played, a medium sized, club in any town USA, packed. So I think I could circumvent that, and then there's certain festivals I'd like to go play, and so that's kind of my target. Is the cool thing is I already have production. I've made all my visuals. I've got, everything's I'm ready. If you could set me in the middle of any festival tomorrow, and I could rip it. I have the full production. I have the sets. I'm ready to go. And that's what I'll do. I will remain, you know, I'm I'm bald, and IRL too. I will be visible, but only in so much as uh, we'll just say it'll match the theme of the project for sure.
So I
But
mean,
yeah,
when you do that, are you going to be out as OM3 or
yes, it'll be this project, absolutely, yeah.
okay? Because I'm wondering, where let's get into the philosophical stuff. Like, do you want people to put two and two together and see who you are in real life?
You won't see my face. You won't see me. Yeah, and that's just fun. It's not for any other reason than I enjoy it. I enjoy the idea of so another thing that happens when you get and spend a lot of time in VR is your concept of self begins to expand, and your being sort of leaves the edges of your skin. And I have had such a good time navigating this new sort of philosophical space of what am I? Am I this character? But I am also a person in here too. And I have all these friends and they only know me as this. And beyond that, going deeper, like how do you make deeper connections without letting people into certain, personal thresholds? But these are also people that are sharing their time and their space and their energy with you in the same place, and their concept of being is sort of eroded around the edges, in the best way possible and expanding. And in that, you form this sort of synergistic glide with the moment. It's very meditative to me. It's very psychedelic to me. I have these sort of little identity crisis moments, and I love them. It has me just sit there and think about what it means to be, and who you are as a person, and where the boundaries and the confines of that really are, and really, where are they? You tell me.
So to break up the deepness, because we're getting pretty deep,
No worries.
which is dope. Have you seen the comments coming through? Some of them pretty funny.
Let's see, what do we got?
Said Paul said you're gonna be in a metal helmet, and then Barry said robes on the festival stage, and then Paul said,
Oh,
"Oh
yeah.
boy, you're gonna be sweating."
That's true. Yeah. So actually, the first iteration of my original intention with this this design for my avatar was to have a mask for my performance. I have a mask design, and I haven't dropped it yet. And but there will be a right time. Actually, the transition ceremony for M.A.S.S will be the first time you see my I have full like OM3 ceremonial gear, and I'll wear it for that, and that's probably what I'll perform into. And what's cool is I can 3D print the exact same thing that I wear in the game in real life.
That's really cool. So what are your thoughts on, well, first, Facebook owns Oculus, and we're talking about Quest 2. And the reason that I think it's great is that it's accessible. $300 to $400, it makes this whole thing more accessible. Because I mean, I've performed in your space, but it was always like kind of handicapped because I didn't have a computer that could handle it or whatever, right? So Quest being compatible is really awesome, but at the same time, does this thing get too big, and then corporate interests comes into play and all that, and then it's like no longer what it is. It's no longer cool.
This conversation is almost exhausting at this point for us. Not
We
no,
don't
and
have to
you're
talk
no
about
no no no. You're right to ask these questions. I'm not chasing you off the subject. It's just that there's so much fear and speculation in the space, and while I think being vigilant is good, I think ultimately come back to focus on what you can control. I can't fucking, like, they have more money than God. They're going to do whatever they want. And anybody that's got a bunch of money is going to come in and do whatever they want. So what do you do about that? Well, you lean into what you love and you keep expanding the things that you love, and you work harder to create a footprint for the way you want things to be. There's no bitching. There's no, there's no amount of like, I mean, it's good to voice your opinion. Don't get me wrong. And we should continue to do that. But make your loudest cry be, your war cry in action. Like, swing that axe, like, get to work, make the place you want, and make sure that it stays, because that's what you have control over. Whether we like it or not, people will come in and burrow out this space and fill it with fucking, corporate bullshit. It's gonna happen. But there's so much to go around. There's so much. It's an infinite. We're already tapped into it. We already have the idea that, oh, this giant infinite creative sandbox is a thing where we could just make whatever we want and have whatever kind of experiences we want to have together. Oop, I don't care where it comes from. That cat's out of the fucking bag, and we're gonna find it no matter what. Like, we will chase this feeling down to the ends of the earth forever now. Things have changed.
Yeah, that's super interesting. Thanks for touching on that real quick.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. No, I mean, it wouldn't be exhausting to anybody that was outside of the, the zone, but in the zone, things are changing rapidly every week. There's new, people are coming in and trying new things. And I mean, shit, even some of the ways that I try to support myself in there are controversial. And, my response to all that is like, yo, like, we should, as an artist, you should be able to support yourself with your art. Your art is valuable. Some people hear that as, oh, you're like just ripping off your friends and like, and creating an experience, or like charging for an experience that could be free. And it's all about how you do that and how much value you're creating for people. And it's really personal, and it's really on a case per case basis. There's no blanket, like, one polarizing right or wrong way to do jack shit right now. Like, you'll know if you're doing it wrong or right by like the response you're getting from people. And you're always going to have critics, and for some reason people are increasingly against the idea of, whether they realize it or not, they're against the idea of artists being able to support themselves with art. Well, maybe not against it, but they're certainly not for it. They're unconsciously not for it, is what it seems like. Not just in this space, but just overall, I see. So we're experimenting with new ways to do this shit. And yeah, there's gonna be some boats rocked from here and there. But I think if you come at this not looking out for like hey, what can I get out of this? The community is gonna embrace you, because that's how we work. We look out for each other. We support each other. We pick up each other. And, people are supporting themselves in here, and they're doing it in a way that's not rubbing anybody the wrong way. And then when big corporate entity X comes in and says like, oh, here's the, the fucking, the fucking crypto space NFT McDonald's Atron 9000, presented by fucking Marshmallow, and Fortnite is coming to, whatever is whatever, like that shit will people will come in and they'll be stoked. They'll have their experiences and they'll be cool. But it's not going to do shit to our community that's passionate about real good music, real good DJs, real good art. There's an abundance, and there will continue to be an abundance of rad fucking people intersecting in this space. I'm just not worried about it personally.
Yeah, that's great, man. I need to hear all that. Yeah, I guess I mean, you want to wrap this thing up, or how you feeling?
Oh, whatever. How long have we been? Has it been an hour?
I'm cool. Yeah, almost an hour.
I'm cool with whatever. I talk my ass off. You know that. I'll talk and talk and talk. So you tell me. I mean, there's if the chat's got any questions, or if there's anything that you are curious about extra about the space, I'm more than happy to keep talking. Oh, you know what?
So
Fuck that.
yeah.
I got questions for you. It's my turn. I'm normally in your position, so this is that. So you were just talking about how you feel like you're turning a new leaf and finding some progress with your space and your channel, huh?
With YouTube,
Yeah, you were just telling me before we hopped on here that you've got some cool shit going on.
yeah. So I got a couple of endorsements. But
Fuck yeah.
the cool thing about it is, it started out as somebody reached out to me from a company, and they were like, well, it's WMD. They're like, hey, you want to check this prototype module out? We've seen your videos. We like what you do. And I was like, yeah, of course. So they sent out a module. That kind of gave me the confidence to reach out to some other companies that I wanted to check out. And the way I did it was more of like, this is what I do. Can I do anything for you? And I'm cool with whatever terms. Like, if you guys want to send some gear and then take it back, that's totally fine with me. I just want to check out the gear.
Let me
Because I'm
pause
going to
real
be
quick. That's smart as fuck that you said, here's what I do. Is there anything I can do for you?
yeah.
Check the that's just a really good way to handle that and handle yourself. That's sick.
Yeah. Because, I mean, because everybody wants free stuff, right? Everybody wants handouts.
Yeah, if anybody's watching, I want free shit.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and then the other thing is like, as far as like the synthesizer Eurorack modular space that we're all in right now, it's kind of like, there's a certain number of influencers, and it kind of doesn't it works, but it doesn't really fit. It's kind of like what you have in VR space, where you have a small community, and the people that make modules and gear are small companies. Like, nobody is really huge, especially compared to, like, big companies that make whatever. And so there's like this influencer kind of thing that's happening, and you just see these guys and they put up, I'm not dogging anybody specifically or anything, but they'll get a piece of gear, they'll have
Call
it
them
for
out.
like maybe a
Call
week.
them out. Get them.
They'll have some gear for a while, and then, I mean, just like a week or something, and then do like this expansive video on it, and it's like, something doesn't feel quite right. I had an analog heat for like 3 years before I felt like I could even talk about it, and I never even did it. I never talked about it. I never did a review video. But I would just tell people occasionally, like, this is what I think it's good at, and that was it. But these people are getting paid lots of money, and it's kind of like, well, I'll show you. I'll put this piece of gear on my piece channel if you on my channel if you give me X amount of dollars, and that just didn't sit right with me. So, and I know, like, my channel in perspective, juxtaposition to everybody else's stuff, is like, it's small. It's like nothing, and it's kind of frustrating because, like, I'm already in a niche of a niche. Like, techno is a niche, and then to add Eurorack and modular on top of that, it's
stay with it. You're actually in as far as marketing is concerned, you're in a great spot, because you want to be in a really specific corner of the universe. In my opinion, it makes you cut through the noise, and there's people that when they find you, they'll be like, yep, this is absolutely my shit.
Okay.
Like, and it's just a matter of casting, like, finding ways to expose yourself in a broader sense, so that you can find those people, which after you hit a certain point with the YouTube algorithm, like, that should start happening. And you got tons of videos, you're really consistent, which is fucking amazing. But I think the fact that you are very specific is, like, really powerful. And that's also probably what's helping these people want to send endorsements your way, because you're about that life and they see that shit, because you can't fake that. As a person that also watches way too many, I chronically watch tutorial videos for gear and for, like, literally everything. Like, it's honestly all I do. Like, when I'm not making something, I'm cramming tutorials. The gear videos that I see are okay, so you have like Lupops, like the mega lord of like the teardown, right? Like Lupops teardown videos are fucking great. They really are. They're helpful if you want to just explore all the levels of a piece of gear. But then where it lacks is in the like sort of like angular approach to whatever that gear is. Like that's what you don't see often. You don't see people making cool use cases for the shit. Like, oh, it does this thing, it's got that, it's got this, you could do that, you could do that. Cool. But like then like knowing that and taking that into consideration, like what are some cool like creative things you can do with that shit? Like show us cool shit that you can do with it. Not that you just open your head about this piece of gear and just like literally be like, this is reality, this is what it does. I mean, it's useful, but like bring like some passion to it, bring some like some functionality to this stuff. That's how I feel about it. Is my favorite people, like, you know, Sync is amazing for that, because Sync will show you around an electron box and then also show you how sick a fucking electron box can sound, and like show you creative approaches to it and inspire you. Like, I mean, I hope M.A.S.S is getting a fat check, because Lord knows how many people bought electron boxes just off of his performances. Like, we need more of that. We need more of that. So yeah, good on you. That's awesome.
Thanks for articulating what I was thinking, like in a much more concise.
Yeah, no way.
Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah, you know, it's a weird space. It's a weird, like, I just make the music on the gear that I like, and I just put it out there. And it's kind of a weird space to occupy because people aren't necessarily searching for techno sets. I mean, some people are, but I know for a fact that if I put Roland in my video title, anything Roland, like that video is gonna get way more views, because it's happened a bunch of times. But I don't have any Roland gear right now, at least not new stuff.
Right.
So
Well,
it's just
you're doing the right thing by doing shit like this. You know, you're just keep moving, keep pressing, and it'll expand. And the fact that you're getting endorsements is a great sign. You know, I was telling you before that, like, that I need to reach out and buff up my marketing stuff, getting ready to head out into the music sphere, because I've been keeping it all VR, all VR. Like, I have not bridged the gap to music industry or to any of the shit. So that's something that I'm doing next, and because I wanted to build a strong foundation and find people that like really fucked with my message and fucked with me as a person and my vibe. I wanted to build a little community of friends and surround myself with good people, and then attract a larger, you know, audience, which is similar to what you're working on right now. You're building your tribe, your community, and then, you know, it'll come. It'll absolutely come if you stay consistent. And if you can, because back to what I was talking about previously, is you love gear. You love making music. You love tinkering around with the shit. Like, I've seen it. I know you love it. So you're in a good spot, because you can keep doing that over and over and over and over again. It's no sweat off your back, because it's something that you love. Like, so I think you're doing great. We'll definitely have you back to play some more shows, and it'd be sick. Oh, I saw a question. Paul asked me what freak accident caused me to lose my hair. And, you know, that's a funny story, because I was deep in meditation in a gulch, and I was attempting to. So if you can look up Monroe Institute astral projection, you can look that up, and you'll see the shit that comes up for that. But I was on on my way to Focus 15 in a gulch, which is a particular terminology that you can choose to look up or not. And I started to ascend into the sky, and I saw like a small black hole appear in the sky. Promise I'm not making this up as I go. And in that hole, I saw a billion stars all condensed into a single point. So I started to reach for it, and as I was floating, and I had a full head of luscious hair at this point, by the way. As I was floating up, I saw that those stars started to become a golden goose. They took the form of a golden goose, an irresistible goose. And the chat will know where I'm going with this. And so as I reached to get closer to the goose, I needed to squeeze myself through the hole, and I wouldn't fit. My head would fit, but nothing else would. And so it ripped all my hair off, but I made it through. And what did I find on the other side? I found that goose right there. That goose you see in the chat. That's how I lost my hair. That's the legend.
That's dope.
I'm bald because of Paul. Again, it rhymes. Approximately.
So another thing though on the endorsements thing is it can be a double-edged sword, because right now, I got
bless
this,
your heart for putting up with me. You let me talk about whack, weird astral projection shit, and then you're like, let's go back to reality with this this fucking gear. So sorry, go ahead. What you got?
No, it's great, dude. We need that, man. Like
I know I'm messing with you. What you got there?
So I got this
I want
Hero
this.
Burrow, right?
Oh, I want it. Yeah.
And it's exactly like you said, man. Like I reached out and I was like, I know it can do like some really cool stuff, like, and it's gonna totally make my music sound sick, just because the number of effects. And like I actually, the first time I saw Zoya was at your place, but it's like the Arduino. I asked someone once, what when I first started Arduino, I was like, what do you make with Arduino? And he just looked at me, he's like, well, whatever you want. Like, well, that doesn't
Right.
help.
Right.
So I owe them some videos, and I'm just kind of stuck. I'm just like, you know what I mean?
Okay, so here's my unsolicited advice for that.
All right.
Stratify that thing. So break it down into, if you were going to use it as an effects box, and then create some patches that are just purely effects for pick an instrument, drums, a synth, a lead, or whatever. Then break it down as if you were going to use it as like a strange kind of like CV controller, and the way that it presents itself, like the type of controls that you can use to convert MIDI, or all the different things that thing does. Find just some whack fucking way to like send signals in and out of that thing and have that impact one thing. Then use it as use it like you would use an analog heat. Use it as a chain, as a a chain input, because it does have some really good sounding saturation and some good sounding compression in it. So break it up like that instead of thinking about it like using it all at once. Also, it has really cool generative functionality to it, and I think people are really interested in that type of thing right now. And it's because of the lights and because of the way it looks, it's pretty pleasing. Like, I think one of the demos, maybe it's still on there or maybe not, is the Truman, or the not Truman, the what the fuck is that? The Touring, sorry, that Touring preset. Like, that thing's beautiful. You can make something like that Touring preset, and have that work with your rack gear. The bar is not incredibly high for that shit. Everyone's approaches that the same way that you do. When it first came out, there was like no fucking videos. There was like one guy with this like shit camera phone video making sick patches. Like, the community is like way better than it was, and I haven't looked like recently. But also there's that there is a community where they share patches. I don't know if you've seen that, but you can get a lot of cool ideas, a lot of creative ideas from that space too. So if you run out of ideas, combine 2 ideas from that space and you have a new one. So that's my unsolicited guidance.
Dude, I needed that. Yeah, because it can do so many things, and it's just like, but yeah, I also just don't want to feel like I'm underutilizing it, and then like, and so the endorsement part comes in because I don't want to underpresent it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to make it.
Yeah, you feel some pressure to perform with it. I mean,
Yeah.
and in that, just be honest. Like, I feel like people really appreciate like bring people into the realm of your confusion with the device. Just be like, honestly, you speak from the heart on it. Like, honestly, this thing is just fucking intimidating. Like, it does anything. And imagine I just said, okay, like, do something on this thing that does anything. What would you do? Like, like, bring people into that perspective, and I think they'll appreciate that honesty. It's similar with the Octatrack, right? Like, there's people that buy and sell Octatracks like 5 times in their life. I think you might be one of them. And
How is yours working, by the way? Is it good?
yeah, all good. All
Okay,
good
good.
now. Hasn't led me astray so far. Yeah, I've played maybe, I don't know, 15 shows on that thing since. It's fine. But the fact is, like, you see people all the time just selling it and buying it because they can't figure out what the fuck to do with it because it does too many things. And there's a couple people now, there's a couple YouTubers that are starting to do Octatrack specific series where they're really going in on it, and I think that's great. Even still, it does so much that you could watch one of those videos and not even touch like most of what that thing does. So but they're honest about it. I see a lot of people, that discussion is like, like, if you're ready to lose your mind, get one of those things and lose days and maybe not make music for a minute, get really confused. Sure, get an Octatrack. I want to get an M8. I'm hunting an M8 right now because that thing is a little Octatrack tracker. I mean, it does a lot of the same shit, and it's got a lot going for it. How do you feel about that thing?
I mean, I've just seen a few things, and Mikey 303 did his set, which was sick. But yeah, I mean, music on the beach, right?
Yeah, so I do that with I bring the Digitone or the Digitact. I bring that down to the beach because I use the MyVolts, the rip cords, and you can just plug them into a phone battery. So I'm all about those beach beats. Just like sling up a hammock and sit there and tap shit out is amazing.
Probably one of my favorite things that I've ever done with the Octatrack was I just took one 808 kick sample, put it across 8 tracks, and then like tried to massage any like those sounds into like what I normally do, like techno beats with hi-hats and all kinds of stuff. And that was like super fun. It was a lot of fun.
Fuck yeah. See, that's the thing. Like, that is something you can make a whole track out of one sample with the Octatrack. Like, you literally can. You can play a whole set probably, honestly, out of
Yeah.
one sample on the Octatrack. That's I mean, now I kind of want to. I want to see if I can get away with playing like a 30-minute set with one sample on the Octatrack. That sounds like a fun challenge. I mean, but you totally can. You totally can. That thing is wild. I mean, it's basically Ableton slammed in a box. It does almost all the same shit.
And it kind of has some modular feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When are you getting into modular?
Oh gosh, I mean, trying to get my come up. I gotta get my stash right. Like, that shit's, it could cost money to get into that, and I know how I am. I'm gonna be one of those people that starts off with 4 and then has a fucking entire room full of them, like, in a period of 4 to 6 months. I have no impulse control when it comes to gear, like zero. And I know how sick that shit is. So it's coming. I know it's coming. I just need to be in a position to justify that. So I'm working on it. I'm actually working on a project, developing a synth. I'm not going to talk too much more about that, but I'm working on something kind of spicy, which I'm really excited about.
That sounds sick. Well, to help you out a little bit, if you go in with some goals, I think you can. There's like a light at the end of the tunnel. I think I've just kind of hit that point to where it's like I don't feel like I need to do anymore, and so that's probably about 10 to 15 grand.
Yeah. See, yeah, that's like that's a full like entry level sedan in. Well, when I do get the itch, you'll be one of the first people I come to, and I'll have too many questions, and But I know that it really is up to your, it's like, it's all about like your intention, your strategy. What do you want to be able to do with it?
Yeah.
And what's fun for you? And it's a really exciting space. I have the matriarch, which, that's got enough going on with it to keep me happy for the moment. I mean, that thing really is powerful. That really is a nice little kit of setup on that thing. And everything just sounds good. I'm constantly surprised by what the matriarch can do. Like, just when I think like I'm like, maybe, maybe I don't know, maybe it's time to get something different. I'll just like come back to it and play it for like 10 minutes. Be like, okay, never. I'm never letting go of that synth. That's my favorite synth that's maybe ever been made.
I might have to hook you up with something then, because the way it happened for me was Octopus gave me a couple of modules, and that kind of like was the seed to.
Oh no! Don't do that to me, Tom. Don't do that to me. I'm gonna get infected.
I know where you live. Are you still in the same spot?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. I know where you live, bro.
Yeah. Don't infect me with that, because that's. I'm gonna stop doing anything in VR and I'm just gonna be sitting in a room making modular sounds. That's what happens, right? It's like the amount of modular gear you have is directly proportionate to the amount of music that you don't release.
I mean, it doesn't have to be like that, but
I know it doesn't have to.
Yeah,
but I love that shit. I mean, you got to approach that in phases too. It's like just sitting there and striping shit, recording shit. You got to have your writing process kind of sorted out to integrate that into, and that's one of the challenges I think with building a modular rig is like, do I want this for live performance, or do I want this to be able to stripe cool sounds into? And my answer would be both. So, which I know is achievable, but yeah, we gotta stop talking about this. The longer I talk about this, it's making me itchy. It's making my brain itch. I'm gonna start thinking about things I shouldn't be thinking about right now. I'm just trying to. I'm trying to like live right now. I don't have modular money yet, but I'll get there.
Yeah. Me neither, man.
Well, you're making it work. You're making it work.
It was funny. April was like, so how much is into your rig? And I was like, I don't know, like 10, 15. She's like, Tom, that's a car. I was like, I'd rather have the modular.
Yeah, no shit.
It's just like, you have problems. And then that was the end of the conversation.
Yeah. Well,
anyway,
it's a good problem to
have. So what do you think is the future of music? Like, taking all this into account, hardware, software, virtual reality, performance venues, small communities. I mean, where do you think we're headed?
I have two answers. One is where I want it to go, and one is where I think it'll go. But I think that like with attention spans shrinking and shrinking and shrinking, you have a lot of the music industries as a whole is focused on TikTok, and things like that. So people are just like in for their, like these little shreds of experiences that are, literally 2 centimeters deep. And that'll be the thing that has those sort of experiences will trickle out into when consumer tech for AR takes a turn and people can walk around with $100-$200 glasses on their face that make insane shit in AR a reality, which is not that far off. Then those experiences can have the opportunity to get a little bit more depth. So artists that are poised to attack on those platforms will have an advantage of a sort, but they also won't know how to engage in these places and in those spaces and interact with communities there. And that could be used to like living with people once AR creeps into the eventual abyss that is VR, because I think AR is a killer gateway to VR personally. And I think we're going to see just like those two worlds, like, in a serpentine, formation together. And as what that means for something like, I choose to call myself a metaversal artist. I may be among some of the first, but I'm certainly far from the last. You're going to see more and more and more of what I do, I think, in completely different ways. And I think it'll be commonplace that look, like crypto gets a bad name right now for a lot of reasons. NFT gets shit on for a lot of reasons. Those are things that are shaking themselves out. People are figuring out how to make those things work. I mean, me personally, I've been launching shit on Hen, which is Hicket Nunk, which is built on Tez, which is Tezos, which is a clean NFT. So I don't have the environmental concerns. And then also my NFTs are like $5 to $15. They're not like thousands of dollars. And that's a way people can engage. But when you take, one of my NFTs, for instance, is an AR piece, it's a mech, and you can get that thing and you can bring that into VR if you want to, or you can bring that into your reality if you want to. I think virtual reality is the perfect spot for NFTs, and for like crypto to thrive. I think you'll see that take over everything. Game like video games in general are going to be crypto based, in my opinion, and I think VR will be no different. And then video games have taken over everything. They'll take over music too, and so artists should, will be doing similar things to what we're doing right now, just on a different scale. Right now, we're limited by the amount of people that can experience. About 80 people fit into a world right now and can experience it all at the same time together. Sure, multiple instances crop up, but like to be in there with the DJ, there's only one instance that has the DJ in it, and that's the one everybody wants to be in. Although the instance, 2 through 5 or whatever, like those are rad parties in and of themselves too, and whatever. Once that expands, the cap expands, things will start to change, and more people will be doing what we're doing now. And then I think music will take a couple turns. I think you'll see tiny bursts. I think you will literally see like what's happening with loops and NFTs. You'll see that happening with music. I think there will be like a loop economy for music. I think there'll be just like little jingles and shit that get remixed to fucking death that are literally 30 seconds long and then they're crypto based. I think that that'll make its way into places like the metaverse, or proper metaverses with communities where you'll have people having more in-depth musical experiences because they're able to engage with an environment and a musical backdrop and interact with the musicians in real time, one-on-one, with a sense of like presence. And I think both of those things will sort of like evolve and fracture and fork into shit that I don't even fucking know about right now. But I think in terms of I think people should be get your gear ready, get ready to perform. I think the stuff that we're doing right now with machines is going to become higher demand IRL and in virtual environments. I know it's the shit that I think is cool, and I've been paying attention to this stuff in the electronic music space for longer than most may have. And I think there's this whole wave of generation of kids that are into electronic music that are going to slowly find themselves getting into live gear and thinking that shit's cooler or as cool as seeing a DJ. And I think, there's just nothing but like up and up and up on that space, because also kids are getting, like super young kids on Ableton gonna naturally make their way over to gear. Gear's gonna just keep exploding, in my opinion. And then when the gear combines with the environments where you can do a live show in VR with some VR gear, and and things are more modular in that context, like shit's just gonna fucking get out of hand quick. It's really exciting. And so I'm trying to focus on as much of it as I can, and be and try to present myself in as many ways and places as I can. But that's kind of the snapshot of what I see, and I'm sure I'm leaving out tons of shit, but that's what I see.
Dude, as always, man, you're always blowing my mind when you talk about like the future of music and stuff. How do you even put this like 2 and 2 together like that? Because everything you're saying is pretty spot on, I think.
I don't know. I just think about it a lot, and I am like just obsessed with all this shit. I mean, like in terms of just like thinking through it and trying to make it and create it myself and trying to interact with it. And I think when you're like obsessed with hunting something down and creating it for yourself, you live inside of it, and then learn from the people that are creating the things, and you're looking for cues. You're kind of maybe from that perspective, but I've always been daydreaming. I've been daydreaming about the future for as long as I can remember, and I'm always most excited by the horizon, as far as this stuff is concerned. So that's probably got a lot to do with that perspective too, which I'm probably only 20% right with some of the, with a lot of that shit, but I don't give a shit. I'm just excited to be here now.
Yeah. And so you also have a guided meditation space too, is that right?
Yeah, we run an event called Brain Dance, and I built a world called the Seed, which is is this just mega structure with this pattern after a sunflower seed, and this kind of like sci-fi sort of ethereal grassy meadow zone. And we have uh, a wonderful Finn that guides the meditations, and Finn's like got the best voice of all time and is just amazing at guiding the meditations. And then while that's happening, I play. I'll usually do like some generative stuff with one of the electrons, and then I'll do some modular stuff with the matriarch, and to accompany the meditation for like the ebb and the flow. Finn will say like, you know, focus your mind on the sounds you hear around you, and then I'll trigger just a little little fucking cry or a little thing just to help with it. And then also I'm projecting visuals, some generative visuals onto the megastructure as well, so that it's just kind of trippy experience. But we do those once or twice a month, and that was also included in the Venice Film Festival parties that we did. I did 2 of those, did one M.A.S.S and did one Brain Dance is what the event's called. And yeah, if you want to come hang out and meditate with us, just join the Discord and you'll see it.
Sick. Well, cool, man. How you feeling?
I feel good. You ready to wrap it? What do we get? We've been, yeah, it's another 30 minutes. I could literally talk for hours, but this feels good. It feels like a good landing spot.
Yeah. Anybody have any final questions? I think most of the folks in here are on from your team.
So yeah, they just like saying the word bald, which I appreciate. Bald is beautiful, and it's something. It's funny. Even being an avatar, people like randos like in public worlds would be like, "Why are you bald? Why like look at this bald?" Like they'll talk about it like it's a bad thing, and I love being a chrome dome. I actually just genuinely love it. Like I love being bald, and I think it's cool looking, and I don't give a shit. Like, so yeah, we joke around a lot, but like, I think it's great because I think there's actually a lot of people out there that are terrified about losing their hair. Men, especially obviously, but then also people that are sick or have different diseases and are going through, treatments and stuff. And I think like, I don't know, just by like, I could be anything. I chose, and I chose to be this. I chose to represent myself this way because I fucking like this. So I don't know. And by the way, we should continue to joke about it. I'm not like coming at anybody for joking about it at all. It's as if I could have any impact on that. But I think like, I don't know. I just think it's funny. It's great. There's a lot of memes actually that come from VR. There's tons of memes that are VR specific too. So if nothing else, that world awaits you if you enjoy memes. And if you don't enjoy memes, then you might be sicker than you think.
I think that's really interesting that you said you chose to be bald because you could be anything. I was thinking about VR earlier today and how it could be an escape from reality, because I was thinking, well, like if something happened, I think I'm one of those personalities where I would just stay in VR as much as possible. Like, give me a feeding tube with some kind of bullshit.
You're going towards Wally, right? Yeah.
Or Matrix or Surrogates, but minus the evil robots. But yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, that's the cool thing. Is like it can be anything, and maybe the future is in favor of the creators, the people that are creative, and because they're going to be the ones controlling the spaces, like making the worlds, making the assets, and all that stuff. So.
Yeah, that is a hopeful outlook. I could bring in a few things to squash that idea, unfortunately, but I do think
Squash it.
no. I just mean I'm playing devil's advocate. I mean, we're eventually coming up on a time where, you know, people are going to be able to speak things into existence, and AI will take it from there, like Star Trek holodeck style, or you can say, like, you know, put me in, you know, 18th century, you know, France in this specific cafe at this specific date and time, and it'll just fucking generate it. So that stuff's coming. But again, back to that conversation about promptism, and it's up to an artist to wield that power as they will. And in terms of it being an escape, and how you choose to use your identity, or how you choose to use your time, we are already a cybernetic collective organism, whether we like it or not. We're all you can't do anything without your phone. You can't work without your computer. Your company is a cybernetic hive mind. It's unavoidable. And escape, that's deeply personal, like per person. We're at a time where there's never been more human beings living by themselves, and we're tribal communities, and I think it's natural to build these spaces where we wind up and find our tribes again. I know I found mine. So I think that you know, we will. I mean, it is full circle. Some of my favorite shit to do is just act like a fucking caveman in a giant open roaming world with my homies. You know, like maybe I'm literally wearing a caveman outfit, or I'm literally dressed as a monkey, or whatever. But like, fuck it. Yeah, your experience is yours alone, and no one, including society, or like, you know, like as long as you're guided by some sort of moral, you know, North Star, you've got a reason, you've got a structure to your life. Like, you're not letting people down around you, or you're not causing like your net impact is good. Who cares where the fuck you do that? If you do it in VR, great. If you do it in reality, great. And the lines are increasingly blurring between those two spaces anyway.
This comment was hilarious. Cortana, take me to the Louvre and deploy dark techno.
Exactly. Fucking exactly. V gets it. V is easily one of my favorites.
Oh my gosh.
V totally gets it.
That's hilarious. That's crazy though, to think that that's even. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know that, you know, you would, like, AI is so integrated into VR like that. That's crazy.
It's coming. It's, you know, it's not there, but it will be. Here's what I'm looking forward to. I want to eat like 2 tabs of acid, put on my VR headset, have an AI mommy for a trip sitter that is got an imperative to lead me towards ego death and usher me into some new creative spawn point. So it's watching all my biometrics. It can tell when I'm like getting nervous before I even can tell that I'm nervous. It can tell if I'm too hot, or if I need to drink water, or if I need to take a piss. It reminds me, and then just guides me on the most like amazing spiritual journey I could ever possibly have. That's what the fuck I'm after. So we got a ways to get to that point, but I'm putting it out in the universe that's where we need to take this shit.
That's crazy. That's crazy. I think you're right though. I think it's coming. It's coming.
Well, it's psychedelic in and of itself, and it, you know, Timothy Leary famously thought that the internet was the next LSD, and that's an interesting context to look at the internet through. This was in the 90s when he said that, but that, you know, well, fuck, if you could have seen this, what we're doing now, you know. I think you have psychedelic experiences in VR right now, and I think you can have moments that force presence. That's part of the reason why meditating in VR is so powerful, is because it's already sort of a meditative experience. It's already pushing you into being aware of the present moment. So just increasing that and playing on that, like, I'm ready. And people joke about me, having a techno cult or whatever, me being a techno cult leader. And fuck cults for the record, fuck actual cults. But if it's a community of people that like want to hang out and meditate and do weird psychedelic shit in VR, the door is open. Come through.
That's crazy, man, dude. V is hilarious, bro. He's AI piss mommy.
Exactly. That's actually my new EP is going to be called AI Piss Mommy. Thank you for that.
So I don't know. Maybe this is a lame story, but it's kind of like the closest to a psychedelic experience for me in VR was actually when we went into your club, because I was on like this mid-grade laptop, and it couldn't handle the space. So we get in there, I get in there, and then I'm going in at like, I'm clocking like maybe 1 or 2 frames a second, but I'm still moving, but the space isn't moving with me. And then, but you're coming in through like perfectly clear. And you were like, whoa, are you all right, man? I've never seen this happen. What's going on? Are you there? Are you okay? And meanwhile, I'm just like trying to like get into like, I'm trying to make my way to the stage. And then you were just like, just make your way to the stage. You'll be all right. Just go to the stage.
Yeah, like as if you showed up like too fucked up and like we're having a hard time to get into the stage, right? Yeah. You could when things fuck up in there, it is like really, really crazy.
It was wild, dude. It was funny though. I just, yeah. So anyway, so I get to the stage, and then like at the end, I'm not in goggles anymore. I'm like on a virtual machine or whatever, and just like side stuff off the stage, just hitting the left arrow. Like I can't do anything else. Anyway.
But you made it. You did it.
I made it. It was fun, man, dude. Playing there is so much fun. It's so cool. So thank you for that.
Yeah, well, we'll have you back soon.
Yeah, so are you gonna have the you talked about like weekly thing, like maybe like a weekly techno thing? Is that still a thing, or?
I hadn't, so this was before techno exploded in there. Was I gonna do a weekly techno thing because people were asking for it, and then techno exploded in there, and now there's a weekly techno thing happening every day. Like there's an entire week's worth of techno ripping in VR chat every day. So, it's served itself, which is awesome. But I am going to build. So M.A.S.S was intended to be a live performance space initially, but I got kind of carried away and whatever. I am building another space that is legit a live performance space, and the way that the visual system's laid out and everything is it's for displaying people's rigs and shit. So that is coming, and I'm gonna do like a dedicated live night in a space that is highly it'll be fun. There's some cool shit coming.
Sick. Dope. Well, cool. I'm gonna recommend maybe hit up Travarsi and Alex over at WMD Nasty Nachos. Those would be some good guys.
Nasty Nachos. Yeah, I mean,
one gal.
It's coming. Yeah, and love that. Love that. We need more feminine energy in the space, to be honest. Like we really, really do. It's we just need more of that. So yeah, absolutely. And you ready to wrap it up? You feeling good?
Yeah. Let's kill this thing.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time and sharing everything about VR and what you're doing. The links are posted in the description for your stuff. If you have any other way anybody can contact you, or you got anything else you want to say, then yeah,
come kick it in the Discord, and come find me on Twitter or whatever. I'm gonna be more active on YouTube as well. I just started posting videos, so yeah, come kick it. And even if you don't, if there's nothing that you take away from this, it's just that you should start doing the things you want to do now, and don't worry about being good at it. Just fucking like try as you go and learn as you grow, and just really seriously start and chase it down and find people that are stoked on the same things you are, and just support each other, and do it. Whatever it is you want to do, just fucking do it and have fun learning, and don't worry about it being sick. Fall in love with the experience.
That's awesome, man. Thank you so much for everything you do.
Yo, yeah, appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, see you, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye-bye.